Hi there and welcome to the latest episode of Pat's Procrastination, brought to you by Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe to the Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel so you don't miss anything. And make sure you are going over to patspropaganda.com to check out all the work that is there. So it is technically a game recap wrap, although it is Wednesday as we record this, so we're going to hit the game recap wrap and we're going to also talk about the trade deadline that wasn't. But first, before we get there, Chudders, I have something for you, a conspiracy theory, if you will. Now, looking at what has happened last night, this morning, technically depending on which time zone that you are in, the Josh McDaniels let go from the Raiders, which is very expensive, seeing as he's still got 4 years on his deal. So he can just kick back, relax and do nothing for 4 years if he really wants to. Jammy bugger. But anyway, I reckon my conspiracy theory for you this morning is that Bill gave Josh that win at Vegas to help save his job. There we have, everybody, discuss. What?
So
Deprived
in the UK, this is
caffeinated.
9:15, and Claire's clearly already been drinking.
No, sleep deprivation and caffeine excess. It is. Yes, as you can probably tell by the bags under my eyes, to be honest with you, because of course I was watching intently the trade deadline that nothing happened, but I didn't really care. So actually, yeah, go on. I know that that's the
something very important. Something very important happened for the Patriots during the trade deadline. The Washington Commanders traded away all their players, so this weekend they get to play against some high schoolers, I think, or whoever's left in the shed.
Cue the Paul Perillo. It always works out for the Patriots, because we all know you worship at the altar of Paul Perillo. So yeah, I just stole that one from you. But no, obviously that's, yeah, of course I'm kidding. I'm not that crazy. I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy. I don't know. I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to roll with it as my conspiracy theory, to be honest with you.
I don't think it's a conspiracy theory that the Patriots deliberately lost. I don't think that happened.
They didn't deliberately lost. I think
it's fair to say that it is Patriots related news. Do you think we'll see him back in Foxborough again?
See, I was thinking about this morning. I kind of don't see the point. I know there's been a few like tweets of like gifs, memes, whatever, of like, oh, come back. But it's like, yeah, I get it. But Mac's already now integrated or begun to integrate into the Bill O'Brien offense. So then if you put him back in the Josh McDaniels offense, and also if you bring back Josh, what happens to Billy O? What does Josh come back as? Exactly. Does he just come back as a quarterback coach? Would he even do that? Well, bearing in mind he's getting a buttload of money to do nothing anyway. I don't know if it upsets the offense more mid-season. I mean, if this was like the beginning of the season or beginning of next season, I'd probably look at it differently. It's just like mid-season, do we mix it up even more? Are we ever going to give this poor kid, this poor quarterback, a chance at some consistency, really? So I don't know. I mean, do you want him back? What's your opinion?
I rate him very highly. I agree with you. I don't think it works to bring him back mid-season. I don't think it works to bring him back. I can't. With what I'd like to happen, I can't see a path back for him, because I can't see him coming now. I can't see him coming whilst Bill O'Brien is still the offensive coordinator. Now, it's not unrealistic to say that potentially in the off-season, Bill O'Brien might decide he'd like a different adventure somewhere else. Whether that's going back to college and becoming a head coach there, whether that's something else within the NFL. It could also be there is a world where there's a new head coach and GM. And in that world, do they want to keep Bill O'Brien? Do they have their own offense that they want to implement because it's an offensive-minded head coach that's come in, and so they've got a different philosophy? There's a world there where he's sticking around. The only plausible scenario I can see where Josh could return is if Bill is still the head coach and Bill O'Brien has gone elsewhere for whatever reason. And then I think it would be a logical step to bring in Josh.
That's next season. You mean
yeah,
next season?
I can't see him coming in now, unless Bill O'Brien left now for a head coaching position. So, you know, what if he went and took over at the Raiders?
But I doubt it. The one thing that, sorry, just to catch you while there's a break, the one thing that you said about if there was a coaching change in regards to Bill not being there, although I know, as we've discussed, he's extended his contract. The other thing there is, if the person that's in would want to let Billy O go, would that person coming in want to bother with McDaniels because he's the Bill Belichick regime? So you're talking about another apple from the poison tree, in inverted commas, that people like to say. So the other thing is, if he comes in, does he come back and he's the head coach of the future? Or the GM of the future?
No.
I know.
And I've got to be honest, I got to say no to both of those. As much as I like Josh, I think he's a very, very good offensive coordinator. He's now proven 2.5 times why doesn't make a great head coach.
He needs to know his ceiling, and offensive coordinator is his ceiling, I think. But yeah, that's just my fun for the morning.
No, I think it's fair discussion. I think there will be a lot of conversation about it, not necessarily meaningful, and a lot of people saying they don't want him back in any shape and form, and a lot of people saying, "Oh, quick, you know, scavenge him." And it's exactly the sort of
save the season
to sort of like you touched on. It's exactly the sort of Patriots thing to bring him back purely as QB coach or something ridiculous, because, like you said, he's still getting a fair whack of pay from the Raiders, so it's not like I'd have to pay him anything to try and come and help Matt. But I tell you what, in some ways it could be better for Matt, because you could argue that the season he had with McDaniels was his best season. I think you're too late on Mac, and I think it's not the right move to be bringing Daniels in now, to be honest.
It's very Patriots, though, isn't it? People were hoping that they made some moves at the trade deadline. I wasn't first. I'll openly admit, and I have done that, I wasn't first. I didn't want them to sell off the couple of key pieces that I think they've got. So I wasn't for that sort of situation. I wouldn't have minded if they'd have got somebody good in. I mean, yeah. But I was fine with the lack of activity, if you like. It feels quite Patriots that this would be their activity after the trade deadline. Is they'd bring Josh McDaniels back or something. It would not surprise me an iota if he came back in whatever shape or form. Actually, you know what I wouldn't be surprised either if he came back as some kind of defensive guy, just to like.
I nearly made that joke. Yeah. But I think
everything up and put him on defense.
I think the lack of activity is interesting, because to me it doesn't necessarily indicate that Bill is definitely staying or Bill is definitely leaving. No. However, if you want to move the needle maybe 1%, it could be that Bill may not be the head coach next year, because you'd think if you've just allowed your current head coach, if you're Robert Kraft, and you've allowed your head coach to go and trade away 3 players or bring in 4 players, or you make some big moves, whether that's quantity of players or whether that's quality, and you know he's tried to swing a trade to bring in a 3rd round pick for Uche, and you think, oh, no, hang on, I'd rather not. I don't think you'd get a 3rd round for Uche, but if he'd been trying to swing some picks in, then that would be a clear indication of he's planning how he wants to spend those picks as well, and vice versa. If you're going to go and trade in for new players, like people discuss Judy, but it could be anyone. You're bringing in, but you're bringing in quality players. Then that's you building something realistically for the future. Because right now you've not got a playoff contending team, so you're building something for the future. And you could argue, well, is he going to be the man to take this team forward in the future? So if and the other thing is 1%. I don't think this means it's Stonewall that Bill's going, but you could argue it moves the needle 1% in that direction, because nothing major was made with this roster, and potentially if it's a big off-season ahead with the amount of cap space, with the potentially high draft picks, that they're going to potentially let someone else make those decisions. But we shall see.
Do you want to talk Dolphins loss then?
I think we should. I think it's fair. I think all your fans want to hear that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they'll do. Let's just relive. Let's relive the horror.
To be honest,
it's day after Halloween, but let's relive the horror, shall we?
Well, yeah, but they need your positivity because you are brilliant at spinning positive of any situation.
What about when I need some positivity?
Oh wow! But that means you're broken. You can't be broken.
No.
I read a piece last week about the shining light that always exists, and I think that you are the shining light for some people of positivity.
Oh no! Stop it! Don't be crazy. No, that you shouldn't say things like that. That's just no, not at all. No.
So what? Come on! What good did you see of the game at the weekend?
Quick plug, if anybody hasn't read it, it's Chudders is talking about my article on patspropaganda.com, Ode to Fandom, Your Light. So it's still there. Obviously, it's technically still relevant, although there's one statistic that's slightly off now because the Patriots have lost another game. But other than that, yeah, it was kind of a no game piece. So please go over and check it out if you haven't already. Sorry, yeah, quick work plug. Positivity. No, I have to start with the negative because it's got nothing to do with the Patriots, and the offense really made me angry again. No, the officials really made me angry again. But I tell you what, okay, you want some positivity, I'll give you some positivity. And I don't think people need to be told this, but they strung together some really good defensive plays. I do believe that we have some very good defensive players in the fold. That's another reason why I was fine with the lack of activity, because the way that Duggar played, it was either he's playing to keep his job sort of thing, to sort of say, I want to stay here, or he's playing as he's, kind of like highlight reel or whatever,
This is contract year, so he'll be playing, heightening his value.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you very much. It's too early for me. Kind of look how good I am sort of thing. So that was one of the things that I was really happy with, the whole nothing happening at the trade deadline, because for me, the likes of Duggar, Peppers and Tavai, and Keon White as well, with his real physical presence, that's the sort of defense that I enjoy watching. I'm sure it's the sort of defense everybody enjoys watching. The other thing is it's a successful defense, though, that in its own. Now, I know that people could argue that they didn't have the best game like overall, but looking at it sort of segmentedly, because I think that's kind of how you have to do it at the moment anyway, unfortunately. But Barmore was I think you may have heard I think it was the Patriots Unfiltered, it might have been the post-game show. Hardy mentioned Barmore was on his good list, and then he kind of fell off his good list because he was on his good list at the beginning. Me the same, but overall, generally talking about him as a player, he's another one of those defensive guys that they've got to, I say they've got to, who am I to tell them, but they've got to look at maintaining this, because these are sections that we can see are very successful. And it's like, okay, when we go into 2024, make sure you're looking at these pieces. Never mind your Cody Davis extension, as much as I do heart Cody Davis, because I really do. It's like, you that's not what's key when we go off. Can you please have learnt the fact that when we go into the off season, we want to look at these guys? I know we'll talk about the offense as well, but like on Onwenu, he's another guy that I think, it's important to maintain. I'm interested though in regards to him because of how they've drafted So and Mapu as guards. So I've got the right name, didn't I? Yeah.
No, Maffey.
It's too early in the morning for me. I haven't had enough coffee. I've had too much coffee. Either way, apologies. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I should have written his name down. What was I thinking about Matthew? Anyway, yeah. So and Matthew, and this is why, are they going to shuffle Onwenu around, or are they going to shuffle him around and out? So, going slightly off topic there. Apologies, but yeah, the defense. Keon White, great, lived it. They had a bit of a better run defense improvement, so that was good. I wrote down lots of things actually. I spent a lot of last night writing things down. The one thing that he's good, and I'll switch over to offense now because people are like, oh, she's all over the place. And I am this morning. I really am. So I'm sorry. The one with the offense is the positivity, is when they gain momentum is when they are successful, when they're good. When they don't delay, when it's like quick steps, when it's no huddle, when they get going, they can be successful. It's like there was good defensive plays. Sorry, yeah, okay, pulling a face. You told me to try and be positive. I'm picking out the positives here. They had the good defensive play. I believe it was the momentum started. Oh, which quarter was it? Yeah, the momentum started with, it was before the touchdown. Before the Patriots touchdown. Sorry, I'm just looking. Yes, the momentum started with the interception. Sorry, apologies. The interception, Duggar's interception. It just was a string of back-to-back good defensive plays. Then it kind of moved into, then the Patriots got the ball, then the offense got the ball, sorry. So then it moved the momentum into the offense. It was as if there was a transference of this momentum from the defense into the offense, and it got going. And then Mac had the good throw to Bourne, and it sort of looked like they could build up a bit of steam. But then it drops off, and I think that's the thing that they need to sort of look at the moment, is why there's that drop off, why we're having these little pockets of goodness, and then why are you looking at me like that? Oh no. Okay, go on. Just pick apart everything that I just said because you're good at doing that. Go
on. Right. I'll see if I can remember everything you touched on. Yes, I agree. The defense, there were some good defensive performances. I thought Duggar played brilliant. He, like you said, contract year, he's performing well. White, I thought, played well. I thought JC Jackson and Mapu did not have good games.
No,
and there was coverage busts. Well, I mean, Waddle was wide open by 25 yards for his touchdown, and it was. I've not seen an update, so apologies if there is one. But Bentley getting injured could be.
I haven't seen anything impacting. As we record. So yeah.
That's a downer. Although again, maybe that gives him a bit of rest for the rest of the season. I thought the Patriots' pressure on the outside was a lot better. Pressure on Tua. Tua was pretty good at dealing with it in some ways. He was still able to get some passes off, but I thought the Patriots were applying good pressure. I agree with what you're saying, that there are quite a lot of key defensive pieces that I can see them building a team around for next season, and some of them that are younger for even longer than that. Go on.
I did have a point actually from that. Do you think, you're saying that the key defensive points, do you think that's got something connected around Bill and Bill staying because he sees that he's got the defense that he can work with? I'm not saying he's only staying for that. Sorry, it was just something that came into my head, was he's a defense guy. So whilst the defense is successful,
I think it's an indicator more of what he likes building. He's a defensive guy. He's a successful defensive guy. He's very good at that side of the ball. I think, and this goes back to kind of what I was saying last week, I think he's invested more in the defense than the offense, which is why there's better players on that side of the ball.
He needs to prove that's, or I think he feels he needs to prove that he can like win with defense, sort of thing.
Maybe. Yeah, I think he does. Like, I think he'd love to win every game 13-10 or something. It's not achievable, but I think that's what he would like. And I think he gets okay, but he gets the credit when there's good defensive performances, and I think for 20 years when there were good offensive performances, it was credit going to number 12 or offensive coordinators that are in place, whereas the defense is the side that. But that comes back to my overarching fear, is that you have a coach who is coaching on ego right now, and it's failing the team or the whole club, if you like, at the moment, not just the 11 on the field or the 53 or whatever. On when you go on.
Sorry, go on. No, please continue.
On Wenu, I agree. I there's a chance he's going to be tackle. With what you're saying about who they've got on the interior, I agree. I think there's a chance he could play tackle. I mean, he did it the weekend, and I think that could just end up being his long-term right tackle position. I think there's simply not enough pieces to build around on offense currently. You could argue Bourne and
Douglas.
That's the word I was looking for. Bourne, Douglas.
I'm glad it's not just me this morning.
Stevenson. Bourne, Douglas and Stevenson, although he's not had as good a year this year, but I think the talent's still there for Stevenson. He's still a very good running back. Those are three that are key. I think but none of those are a elite star, if you like, but they are, I think they could be very good complementary pieces that you want to retain going forward and add to the talent in that room. Go on.
I have a question for you then.
Go for it.
Because we know on this show that you're not much of a Mac apologist. You're not much of a Mac fan, really. Do you think you would have a better opinion of him, or let's say better opinion, that's not quite what I want to say, a more favourable view of him if they give him that elite wide receiver? How would you be if they'd brought in, because we all know that for some reason you've got this thing for Judy, so if they'd have brought Judy in, would you be happier with Mac? Obviously he needs to be successful with him, I get that, but it's just, yeah.
Right, okay, so let's say if you put Mac in the 49ers offense.
I knew you were going to say that.
I think Mac could play better than he is currently.
Yeah.
But I think you would see someone who's not too dissimilar to Brock Purdy. Someone who's a serviceable quarterback in that situation. You're not going to see, and I'll exaggerate here, Joe Burrows, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Brady, Rodgers. You're not going to see a top-end quarterback. You'll find a quarterback who can work okay with better pieces around him. Mac has too many flaws for my liking that his ceiling is that high. When you look at this offense, and I've thought this so even more this season, is that you look at a game plan, you think, okay, if we do this, 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 and this, we could win. Now, the trouble is this, and this is getting smaller each week because there's so little he can do. He can't pass downfield. He can't use his legs. He's not a mobile quarterback. You think, okay, well, maybe, and this is effectively what they've done this season, okay, maybe if he can get a quick pass out on a slant or on a wheel route or something like that, maybe we can get 10 yards on that play. And maybe if he does that 7 times, we can get down the field and we get a touchdown. Because then you're reliant on skill players who are getting yak rather than a passer who is getting you 20 air yards or whatever. There are too many frailties to Mac's game, too many caveats. Well, he can't do that. Well, he can't do that. He can't read the game very well. He can't sit in a pocket and take heat. He can't move out the pocket. He can't throw on the run. He can't throw. Like, there's too many. Okay, well, he can't do that bit. But if he did this bit, we could be successful. But that's getting smaller and smaller and smaller of what he can do. That and part of that is him being broken. I think if you put him in a whatever you want to term as a perfect situation, 3 years of the same offensive coordinator and far better weapons, I think he could play better than he is now. But that isn't the situation that's happened. That isn't what is going to happen immediately. He is, even then, I think his ceiling wouldn't be elite quarterback. It would be serviceable in the NFL to work with the elite pieces around him.
As a more of a Mac fan than you are, which is no positive or negative either way, just as more of a Mac fan than you are, it's really frustrating that if we could have possibly had those 3 years under McDaniels, just for argument's sake, how much different it might be. It just feels like there is this chance. I get that he isn't this, he isn't that, he isn't the other, but I think he's more of some things than what we're really seeing now, because I think he's literally feels like he's been through the wood chipper, to be honest with you. And yeah, you could argue, oh, a stronger quarterback would come through it. I don't think there's any quarterback in the league that you put through all of that and they would come out like really shiny and fabulous. They might come out more successful than him, but I still think you would tear. There's many quarterbacks in this NFL league that would be as broken, if not more broken, than he is right now. And I think it's frustrating that we can't sort of prove that a bit more, because we can't see what he might have been. I mean, it's ifs, buts, can do nuts, obviously, and it's, you know, it's playing the if game, and it's easy to say these things, but I'm just really frustrated right now as a fan, because we have these arguments about Mac, and you sort of say, you know, I see a bit that you don't see, and this, that, and the other. And I know that you kind of wanted Justin Fields, but I wanted Mac Jones. And it is frustrating that I'm not able to sort of say, well, we have seen everything that he's got, because it genuinely doesn't feel like we've been able to. And I think that's one of the things that I'm finding most difficult about this season. I'm okay with them losing and them having to build things back up, because teams aren't successful all the time. These things happen. It's you know, it's the sport itself. It's the fact that there's this cloud of he might be, he might not. This might be him, and that's fair enough. But because we can't be certain, that's the frustrating thing for me now, anyway, as a fan.
I mean, I would question what do you think we haven't seen? Now, to answer that in some extent, I would say we haven't seen the Mac that was at Alabama. But that Mac at Alabama sat in a pocket for as long as he ever wanted, because Alabama had the best O-line.
Yeah,
he then was able to throw downfield to Waddle and Judy and I've forgotten, there was another Smith, I think it was. The amazing weapons that Alabama had, who were most of the time in space, because they were so much quicker than the defensive backs they're against. When they weren't, they were beating them in the air. You haven't seen that Mac. But the reason is that
in the middle.
No, but the reason is that doesn't exist in the NFL for any quarterback.
No, of course not. No.
And so
I fully appreciate that.
My fear at the time, and why I didn't want Mac, was that the style of play he plays isn't going to work in the NFL, because you can't play quarterback like that. And what you've seen now, particularly highlighted this season, is he can't play under pressure. And not that it's not like all his passes are getting batted down at the line because the release angle's wrong or something like that, or that, you know, he's throwing them up and the receivers aren't catching it because they're not good enough. He's turtling under pressure. He can't deal with the pressure, and that's what you need from, you know, the best quarterbacks can deal with that. Now, that isn't to say that the best quarterbacks always make that amazing pass when they get under that pressure. A lot of them do, like, you know, Brady so often did. But what he could also do is learn when are the times, okay, I just tuck the ball here and I take the 1 yard loss or whatever, 2 yard loss, because I'm going to go again. I'm going to get the same read next time. Next time I know what to do when that happens. Or they'll throw the ball away because, okay, pressure's come. Nope, this is going in the stands. Mac's not doing any of that. He's not showing the qualities of being a good quarterback, which you need to have. You will get pressure. You can't. He's had pressure more than most, but you can't say, in my mind, just because a quarterback is getting pressure and they're dealing with it badly, oh, well, that's not the quarterback's fault for how they're dealing with it. No, that, to me, that shows qualities of a quarterback which are failing.
My argument is, what you're saying, obviously, is all completely true. We know this. My argument is he might have been better had he not had to go through.
I agree. He could have been better. But
it's like if you hadn't have taken a baseball bat to the knees, you'd walk better.
Yeah, my fear is his better is still not going to be good enough.
And the frustrating thing is it feels like we'll never be able to know that for certain. You might, because of your opinions of him, and that's fine. I, as a fan, this is just me. This is my opinions. This is all this is, just fans spurting her opinion
any
of
player though.
Well,
Any player, any position.
Yeah, okay, sure, but it's more key when it's your quarterback, isn't it? It's more key because it's got a
that's why I think they need a new one. Because this one isn't going to take you to the promised land. Whether partly that's because you're broken, partly because I don't think even at his best before we signed him, his best was going to be good enough. I think he looked even worse than that now. Now, to answer one other thing that you did mention about the offense, or rather just kind of the whole gameplay really, and how it's played out. Going hurry up, no huddle works sometimes, and then everyone says, why don't they do that every time? It's because it doesn't work every time.
No.
And when it doesn't work, and your defense has just been on the field for a 5-minute drive, and then they're back out on the field 30 seconds later because you've gone hurry up offense and not made the first down, you're going to be losing a lot heavier. It works situationally. It works. You can't come out and do it every single time.
I didn't mean all the time anyway. I just meant it's part of the momentum that it builds. It just seems like when they get started, they can kind of carry on. It's that they can't seem to get that started, and then it just.
The other thing I'll say on the momentum, because I think you're right, they're not snowballing the momentum, if you like, is because I don't think the defense has confidence in the offense, which is valid. And so the defense, like you say, you're starting well. It's getting an interception. We even got a touchdown. Brilliant. What a start. Okay. But that was after, I think, 2 drives that went nowhere. And then after that, drives are still going nowhere. And I think the defense is going, okay, so you can only do something when we give you the ball on the 20-yard line because we stole it, not because you can actually put a scoring drive together, because they couldn't.
I have a positive.
Oh.
Baron just punt.
Okay.
Oh, I love me my punter. You asked for positivity. I am giving you oodles of it right now.
The other positive,
as many oodles as I can.
The other positive I thought, and Bill's got a lot of stick, rightly so, for his drafting over the last probably 5 years, more some would say. If you look
at so much on that as well, but anyway, go on.
If you look at the class that he had 6 months ago, or whatever it was now, 7 months ago, it's looking like a very good draft. I don't want to say it's great, because what you've got out of it is a lot of starters, or certainly a lot of contributors. You got Gonzalez, who's best player and best defensive rookie of the year, or best player in the year.
He still counts
for his month. Sorry, not year, month.
Yeah.
White, who played
still
better
counts
this weekend, he's still got more to prove. I'm not totally sold on him, but he played a lot better. Mappa, who didn't have a good game, to be fair. But then you've got 2 kickers who, like it or leave it, they're playing now. You've got Maffey, who I thought played a lot better this week.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not
apologies to him for getting his name wrong.
That's a Patriots guard for the next 10 years, but he played a lot better. The best receiver on the team at the moment, Douglas, came out of that draft. You could argue that it was a fairly good draft, to be fair. But those players, none of them are necessarily elite stars. Actually, to be fair, Gonzalez could be. But you could say you've got contributors. Now, that's also your bottom of the AFC. So good players in a bottom of the AFC team are not necessarily getting, that doesn't make them stars in other teams that are higher up that rankings. But you've got some players there who are contributing positively this season.
And with the bottom of the league, there's a sandwich. I might as well just buy you a sandwich now.
Oh, told you so. And I'll be honest, this looks worse than I thought when I made that bet. When I had
I think I'm most
pre-season
annoyed.
assessments of the teams, I didn't think they'd be this bad.
I'm most annoyed by the Gesicki one, because I genuinely thought going into the season, I genuinely thought he would be able to be utilised more, and that does
so
make me sad.
I'll tell you what, that can bring me on, because I noted down a few questions here around the tight ends for you this week.
Okay.
Who's been for the Patriots most effective tight end this year, do you think?
Well, really, overall, generally with everything, kind of mildly underrated is probably Henry for what you've sort of done that's not on the stats. But to give you stats, it's Brown, because he's had.
And I know that when they signed Henry, he was your new favourite, which is fair. That's fine. And then when they got Gesicki,
told you about Smith. Told you about Smith. I should have got. I should have got a sandwich on that one. Sorry, go.
When they got Gesicki, he was your new favourite, or you loved that. Right.
You make me sound so shallow.
What does Brown have to do to make it into your Patriots favourites?
Oh no, he is now. I love all my tight ends.
Just any tight end, essentially.
Yeah, any Patriots tight end.
Okay, so
although I still feel a little bit biased. Maybe Gesicki is my new shiny toy. So
I'm not sure how much he's shiny at the moment, but he's a new toy. So what would you
mean about favourite tight ends?
So if you could, based on what you've seen this year, if you could somehow take two of those tight ends into next year, which two are you taking? And you can only take two. Which two? That's the pout of someone who knows the answer is Henry and Brown, but doesn't want to say it. Okay, so to make it even worse, if you could only take one of those tight ends into next year, which one would you take?
If I'm being logical, it's really Brown, because of his performance and his abilities. He's obviously exceeded expectation when it comes to being a pass catcher. I hate the whole not taking Henry because of his veteran presence and how long he's been in the team and his connection with Mark, and he's a good tight end generally all round. I know his blocking obviously isn't as good as Brown's, but he's a really good piece. He's one of those pieces that I think that it's important to have. They're not the big star, they're not the big money maker, they're not the big numbers putter upper, but you aren't going to have a whole team of those. You need those dependable sort of margarita pizza guys, which is sort of what he got called by Andy. So it is difficult to advocate any moving away from him because of that element. And I don't believe that they should have only two tight ends next year anyway.
I don't think they'll only have two tight ends, but I don't think necessarily retaining all three was really the basis.
That would make me so happy. As a Patriots fan, it's not going to be a great season. But if in 2024 there's four tight ends, the three now, and a draft, so happy. Look, you wanted positivity. I'm giving you oodles of it. You just aren't enjoying it, and we've run well over. So who is your
I'm gonna be crying if we're watching Mac throw to Gesicki next year, and that's our
what if it's really successful though, and they've got a winning record and stuff? Is it the fact that you just don't like the players?
Wind down off the flying pig, and I will get back to reality.
Harsh, so harsh. Do you have more? Because we kind of
well, a couple of side notes. One is that I had genuinely forgotten that Smith-Schuster was on the Patriots roster when he caught that touchdown, and the announcer announced his name, and I was like, "Oh yeah, forgot we had him."
I kept forgetting that they'd signed him, but that was back when they'd signed him.
Another question for you: who do you think will be the starting quarterback on Sunday? Sorry.
This Sunday against the Commanders. Oh, Mac.
Yeah, I fully agree. I was intrigued, and I say that because Bill was asked in his Monday morning questions if Mac is still his quarterback, and he didn't say yes. He answered saying everyone has to play better. Now, I don't disagree that Matt needs to play better, but it intrigued me that Bill didn't go, yeah, he's our number one quarterback, you know, in his droll tone.
And you don't think he's doing it just to mess with people? Come on.
What did you tell me off for saying last year? That I
don't know, there's so many things.
that I didn't think Bill was backing his quarterback, and he's not backing him now. Now I'm not backing him either, and I agree he should play better.
But then you should be told off.
But I'm finding it intriguing that even Bill is continuing to go down this path of sort of needling Mac, should we say? I think there was a needle to try and make Matt play better, same as when he tried last year and it didn't work.
Working the reverse psychology. But so yes, you mentioned the game next week. Hang on,
before we get to the game, I'm going to award my underrated player of the day.
I was going to do that after, but okay, go on.
Well, this week it's sponsored by the World Wildlife Fund, because if you know any zebras suffering from confusion, blindness, or amnesia, then donate to find them a safe haven. And I'm appeasing you with that.
I actually laughed at that one.
Because whilst I thought the Zebras did have a bad game, I don't think they are the reason the Patriots got convincing.
I said that. I said they are not the reason that the Patriots lost, but I believe they are the reason that the Finns won, because there was some bad officiating, or one of the reasons why the Finns won. I have not said that they're reason. Thank you very much. So you got the response that you wanted. Everybody else is sitting there like, oh, this is so just, what are you doing? But no, the one thing that I didn't like was there was a late hit on Mac and it didn't get called. I keep getting very annoyed at the whole grumpy because people aren't protecting my quarterback. People are hitting my quarterback and things.
I should say, grumpy at people not protecting your quarterback. Is that a dig at the offensive line?
No, maybe slightly. No. Oh yeah, because I would not take on any of those. Have you seen the size of these guys? No, it just makes me annoyed that, you know, he got a late hit and it was unnecessary, and it's just like the officials are letting my quarterback get abused, and while he's my quarterback, I will get annoyed by that, quite frankly. But yes, who's your underrated player? Quick.
Well, I'll give it a Duggar because he cares. It's probably more to do with the fact it's a contract year for him.
Good.
But, you know, he had a pick, he had a sack, he had tackle for loss, he had a tackle pass breakup, QB hit. He was all over the show.
He played 100% of the defensive snaps as well, just for throw a stat out at you.
Played brilliantly. So on to next week then. Home against the Commanders, 1 o'clock kickoff in the US, 6 o'clock in the UK. They're just coming off a home loss against the Eagles, 31-38. But to be fair, they
I missed that.
They play quite well for a long time. However, they're also coming off the back of selling all their good players. So, what's your prediction, Claire?
Patriots win by field goal.
I think that's a fair bet, and to be honest, when I put my notes together yesterday, that was before the Commanders went and sold everyone. So I'll stick with my prediction: 2017 to the
2017 Patriots. I'll write that down.
Picking up a win that I don't necessarily want them to have. So
no. Okay. We don't have time for this argument, I'm afraid, folks. But you'll probably be extremely relieved that we don't. So that is it for. Is that it?
To clarify, I'm as quite a few people say, Monday to Saturday, I'm doom and gloom and looking at, this is the draft. This is our position in the draft.
Looking at highlights
a loss would
Drake May and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Looking at quarterback highlights.
I know. I get told about it.
Yeah. But then Sunday the game kicks off and I want the team to win. You just can't watch without wanting your team to win a game. So it's not that I am rooting for the opposition in our games, but looking at bigger picture in the week, you can try and take positives from losses, I guess, by looking at what the future could bring. So on your Claire tracker of 0 to 10, where are we? So we were on to update. I think we were on 8. We were on 8 before the Bills game. Bills won.
went up
and then
1.
we're back to 10.
No, I went to 9 and now I'll go down to 7. Go down to 7, I think.
7.
7,
Okay.
yeah. 7 at the moment. And I'm like at 2 with my sandwich bet like chances, to be honest with you.
I don't think we're getting to 11 wins, are we?
No, I don't think we're getting to 11 wins. I don't think Gesicki's going to be the top receiver, and we're probably going to be the bottom of our division. So 3 sandwiches down for me. So I'm at about a 2 at the moment, but that has to be it for this week, folks. Yeah, as Chid has said, Washington on Sunday. Both of us predicting a win. This is very strange. We don't normally agree on pretty much anything. So there you go. Well, this is it for another edition of Pat's Procrastination, brought to you by the Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel. Please do not forget, as always, to subscribe and tune in next time, folks, and go Pats.
Left G.